Zhiyun has done an awesome job getting this gimbal, the Smooth Q smartphone gimbal, into the hands of content creators here on YouTube and other places on the internet. And because of that, there are tons of awesome videos going over this thing and all of its features already. In fact, up in the corner is a link to one here on YouTube that I really love that does an awesome job going through everything that this does in detail. In case this is my first video of yours that you're watching and you're new here, most of the videos I make on this channel are vlogs, videos about New York City and traveling, and then things related to that. Because of that, I'm going to review the Smooth Q from that perspective. Is this good for vloggers? Before we start, I want to thank gearbest.com for sending me the Smooth Q to review and to eventually give away to one of you. Stick around to the end of the video for details on that. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about whether this thing is good or not. In my personal opinion, for this thing to be good for vloggers, it needs to tick off 4 different boxes. 1, it needs to be easy to use. 2, it needs to be portable. 3, it needs to be of great quality and offer great quality in the final product. And 4, it needs to have great battery life. Talking about that last one very quickly because it's simple to talk about, this thing kicks butt in that category. The Smooth Q has a 3400 milliamp hour battery. To give you some context in case you aren't familiar with what that measurement indicates, a normal cell phone has a battery about the same size, maybe even a little bit less. Not the oversized ones, but normal cell phones. And because they were able to fit a battery that size in this gimbal, they boast that it can run continuously for 12 hours. I don't know how true that is, but I can tell you that I charged this once when I got it. I've used it in a vlog. I've gone out to Times Square multiple times and tested it. I tested it at work and the battery is still going. That is what you want when you have a tool that you're taking with you out on the go. You don't have to charge it and carry extra batteries, which downside to this, you can't replace the battery. If the one in here dies, you can't carry on extras and just replace them as you go like you can with the Osmo Mobile. But that being said, the Osmo Mobile battery is only 900 milliamp hours, and this one's 3400, so I think this has a leg up there. Plus, a really cool feature that no one else, at least as far as I know, has thought of, is that it has this USB port on the bottom, and so you can actually plug your cell phone into this, and it'll charge your cell phone, which is very, very cool. So, check. Battery life, approved. The next area we'll talk about is the quality. Obviously, this doesn't have a camera built into it, so this one's pretty easy to cover. The quality is going to depend on your cell phone. I personally, right now, use a Samsung Galaxy Note 5, which has an awesome camera. Even though it's a 2-year-old phone. And because of that, my videos turned out great. This thing does a really, really good job of keeping the cell phone stable. When I shot my test footage, which I'll show you here in a second, I used an app called Cinema 4K, which allows me to shoot at a higher bitrate and shoot in a flat picture profile. For some of you, that stuff might go over your head, but basically what it equates to is higher quality video from my cell phone. The Zhiyun Play app allows you to actually control the camera on your phone a little bit, which I'll get to more in the next section. Because of that, you can actually do some really cool stuff using the controls here and get even better quality or higher quality looking video through dynamic movement. So, the quality section, check, approved. Now, let's talk about portability. This thing comes with its own case, looks like a little miniature guitar. People who at work when I had this with me thought that it was some sort of mini ukulele or something like that, but it's the gimbal inside of this case. It is a harder, I guess, sort of foam. It's not completely impervious to scratches or things like that. In fact, it has this sort of soft touch surface, which feels really great when you're touching it, but I've seen other reviews online where they just sort of set this down on concrete and it's scuffed really easily. In my opinion, I carry this around in a backpack and it helps to protect the gimbal because with those motors and stuff, there's lots of moving parts. You want to have it in a carrying case when you're carrying it around. A problem, in my opinion, for vloggers specifically, that is inherent of all of these gimbal stabilizers, at least so far in the way that they're built now, is that they're not very easy to carry around with you. For me, this thing has been an auxiliary tool. I still shoot my videos with the Samsung RX100 Mark IV that I'm shooting on now, and this is something extra if I want to get a special shot. Because I like to sort of run and gun, and carrying around a gimbal in your hand or putting it in and out of your backpack in the case is not the most portable setup. It's not very quick. In my opinion, not specific to the Zhiyun Smooth Q, all stabilizers like this, they're not very portable. Check off the box, but not super portable. All right, let's talk about the last section, the last checkbox on our list, and that is ease of use. So you pull this thing out of the box. If it's charged, you put your cell phone in it, you hold down this button here, this red one, and you'll see doesn't have a phone in it, so it's not gonna stay super stable. But that's it. Really, that's all you have to do to use this thing. Because of that, I say it's super easy to use. You can do a lot more with it. Like I mentioned, there is a Zhiyun Play app that allows you to use these controls. If you want to just put your cell phone in and go, put it in, open the camera app, turn it on, and you're gone. If you have a larger cell phone like mine and you have to balance it where the arm is out this way, it stops it from going into its closed position, and you can't put it back in its case. So it's a little annoying that you have to then close that up back every time so you can put it into that closed position, but in all honesty, it's not that big of a deal. So I'm not gonna get into all the specifics of the Zhiyun Play app because there are, as I mentioned at the beginning, tons of other videos that do that, but I will mention some of the cool things that it does and the controls here. So let me zoom in so you can get a better shot of this. Hold on. On the handle, the controller here, you can see a few controls. This red button, like I mentioned, you hold it down, it turns it on. You hold it down even longer, you'll see a blue button up here. Let's see, there we go. That's how you get it into pairing mode for the Bluetooth to connect to the app. It's also the recording button, as you can tell by the red circle, if you are connected to the Zhiyun Play app. Other controls on here are your zoom in, zoom out if you're connected to the app. This obviously doesn't work if you're not connected to the Zhiyun Play app because it has nothing to work with. It doesn't work with your standard camera app. And then this is the joystick. This, depending on what mode you're in, which you can switch by clicking this mode button here, will allow you to tilt, to pan, and to rotate. You can switch between different modes on the gimbal to choose whether it maintains its X-axis and you can control the Y, whether it maintains its Y-axis, you control the X, or you can just control everything. It's actually pretty cool and allows you to really control the types of shots you can get and how they're stabilized. Zhiyun has the Zhiyun Play app both for iOS and Android. I use an Android phone, so I wasn't able to test the iOS app, but I hear it's a little bit more fleshed out, a little better, which is generally the case, unfortunately. But the Android app is still really great and has a lot of cool features. The coolest of which is a motion time-lapse feature. Basically, you set up the Zhiyun gimbal, and you're able to do that because it has a tripod mount on the bottom. That's one thing I didn't mention, but you can set this up on a tripod, which is so cool. The DJI Osmo Mobile, which is this thing's biggest competitor, does not have that. I digress. You set this up on a tripod, you set your in point over here, you set your out point over here or up here, wherever it may be, and then you set how long you want the time-lapse to be. The gimbal will start taking photos along that path, and once you're done, you have a really cool, smooth, moving time-lapse. Pretty cool, right? That is all within the Zhiyun Play app. So anybody can do it as long as you have that app installed and you're connected to the gimbal through the app. There are a few other cool things in there you can do, like using the gimbal to take panoramas or 180-degree photos that you can sort of move around in, which is really cool. But that one was definitely the coolest in-app feature for me. Usability, ease of use, check, and I do give it a thumbs up. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this section, if you want, you just put your cell phone in, open the camera app, turn the gimbal on, and you're good to go, which is super, super easy, super, super simple. But if you want to get more complicated and get even better shots out of this thing, you can do that. It allows you to do that, which I really love. One thing I forgot to mention, which I do want to bring up, is the build quality. So this arm section up here is all metal, which is really great. That's the part that you want to be metal, that you don't want to break. This bottom section is a, I don't know if you hear that, is plastic, but it seems to be a pretty good quality. I've been using this for a couple weeks and it hasn't broken at all. One thing I will mention though, it says Smooth Q right here on the bottom of this arm, and the paint's rubbing off a little bit. Not a huge deal, but worth mentioning. The paint in the other sections isn't rubbing off, so, you know, it's not a huge thing. It doesn't affect how this gimbal works, which is really well. Final verdict, is this thing something you should buy if you're a vlogger? Based on my criteria, the 4 things that I said at the beginning of this video, it checked off 3 of those 4 boxes. And the 4th one was just an inherent problem with all of these type of devices. Nothing against this one personally, so I would say yeah. Get one of these if you're a vlogger and you have the money, especially if you're a beginner vlogger. Most likely you already have a cell phone that has an awesome camera, and this thing is going to be way cheaper than buying a dedicated camera, and it'll get you some really great professional looking shots. When you consider that this thing's biggest competitor is the DJI Osmo Mobile, which is around $250 retail, I think, right now. This one retails for $139 on GearBest. So you're saving $100 on something that does exactly the same thing that the DJI Osmo Mobile does, for the most part. If after watching this video you want to buy one of these things for yourself, there is a link in the description that is an affiliate link where you can buy one of these. It does help me out a little bit. It doesn't cost you anything extra. So if you are planning on buying one of these, I would greatly appreciate it if you use the link. If not, no worries. But if you're like me and you don't want to spend the money, you don't have the money, or you just like free stuff, and you're watching this before November 1st, 2017, you can actually click up here to watch the video of my 5,000 subscriber giveaway. GearBest is nice enough to allow me to give this away to one of you in celebration of reaching the 5,000 subscriber milestone. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check out that video to get the details on how you can enter the contest yourself. And of course, if you're not subscribed to my channel, you definitely should be. I mentioned this at the beginning, but I live here in New York City. I make videos exploring this beautiful and wonderful, amazing city all the time. And when I'm not here, I'm traveling the world and I make videos about that as well. So you'll want to subscribe, and when you do, make sure to click that notification bell so you can know when I upload my next video. Speaking of that, if you want to check out one of my vlogs, click or tap there, and if you want to check out the video for the giveaway, make sure to click or tap there. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this review of the Zhiyun Smooth Q gimbal, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.